Good morning, and what a good morning it is. How is everybody today? It is Thursday. It is May 25th, 2023, and we made it to a another Thursday morning. Hope everybody is doing well. Forgive me, I'm coughing out some of the morning dew, as they say, and I am not your bartender. Um, that was last night. There we go. I was your bartender last night, but today I am your barista. Good morning. Best sip of the day. It's Cup of Joe. Charlie, just so you know, I got your envelope right here. Gonna mail that out today. That way you can get it. But good morning. I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Good morning to Sharon. Roland is here. Good morning to you. And yeah, I see that. No picture. Go figure. Always a swell time. Oh, and what a lovely I guess your money back because the picture sucks this morning too. All right. Well, this is going to be a short stream today. I'll tell you that right now. Good morning to Sharon. Good to see you. Good morning, Mom. Hope all is well with you and Dad. Charlie is here. Like I said, Charlie, I have I get your envelope, your sticker right here. I'll mail that out later today. Scott from Lone Cross MTP is here in the house with us. Good morning, Scott. Thanks for coming in, guys. And here I am. Yes, there I am. Here I am. But good morning to all of you. It's a fine morning and a terrible picture. Saturday the cable guy's coming, the internet repair man. I don't know what it is. It's awfully frustrating. What can you do? We're going to cut the cord, I think, is what we're going to do. But until then, we'll get what we get, I guess. And far from me just shutting things down and trying to restart it, I don't think that'll help. So it is what it is. But good morning to everybody. Today, like I said, it is Thursday. We have one more day. Tomorrow we'll be doing our walkabout as long as the weather holds out. And the weather is supposed to be fantastic this week. We had some rain last night, and the temperatures are going to be a little cool today. I say cool, 65, which is not cool at all compared to how cold it was this winter. And then it's going to be in the 80s for the holiday weekend. Do you all have plans for Memorial Day weekend? They say it's the unofficial start to the summer, Memorial Day weekend, or the last weekend in May. But I hope you all know why we celebrate on this weekend. It is Memorial Day, after all. Memorial Day will be Monday. And there's a good reason why we do it. I somewhat talk about it at the end of every stream that I do. It has to do with the flag behind us and honoring the men and women of the armed forces, those that have given the ultimate sacrifice to protect and save us and keep us safe, protect our liberties and our freedoms. The liberties and freedoms that the founders fought very hard for to establish. And then between then and now, hundreds of thousands have fought and given the ultimate sacrifice to protect those so that we can continue to have them. So that's what Memorial Day is about. So you need to fly your flags and your bunting. And when you're celebrating, remember who and what you're celebrating. This is not the 4th of July. And it's a time for reflection, I think. Think about the things that you enjoy And then think about other places in the world that don't have the same freedoms that we do. To me, I do that, and it brings things right back to it grounds me, and lets me realize that we do enjoy great freedoms in this country. And I don't normally get too political on this channel. As you know, I try not to mix politics with our fun, but during this weekend being Memorial Day, and the meaning of it, it's hard for one not to think about what's happening in this country and what's going on around the world right now. And if you haven't been living under a rock or purposely ignoring things that are going on, I think you need to pay a little attention, because there's a lot happening within our country that's not the way that our founding fathers had fashioned it. So we need to be ever vigilant. If you enjoy the things that we have, and the freedoms we have, don't be fooled by propaganda. Don't be fooled by what the mainstream narrative is. Don't be fooled by any of that. So I don't want to get in too far into it, but because you know how Google, they don't want us talking about this stuff, but um, I find it being Memorial Day weekend, we need to discuss a little bit of these things. Um, so I would say, don't be fooled by what uh, by what you're seeing in the media and what you're being told. Try to remember back, and I don't know how old a lot of you are, but I was going to say, try to remember back what you were taught in school. Most of us that graduated before 1990, 95, were taught the history, the real history of our founding fathers and the birth of our nation, and the struggles that those people fought for. You know, the Declaration of Independence, you've heard of that. Do you know what that is? Do you know what that Declaration of Independence is? It's just a piece of paper that has words written on it that a very smart founder wrote the words on this, and then some founding fathers signed it. So think about what the title of it actually means. It's a Declaration of Independence. It's a group of people telling a tyrannical government that now we're declaring that we're independent from you, no matter what you do. And you may try to stop us by force, but we don't care, because our independence and our freedom means more than anything that you can put us through. You know, after they signed it, there was a quote, and I'm not going to get it right, but it was, the signers said that we'll all hang together or we'll surely hang alone. After signing that, and think about what that means too. Think about the harm that they put themselves and their family in. Because during that time, not everybody that lived in this country felt the same way. Kind of like how it is today. There's some people in this country that just agree and they go along, don't want to rock the boat. For whatever reason, mostly out of fear, don't want to rock the boat. But there's some of us here in this country today that feel the same way. I know I'm one of them. So when we think about Memorial Day, you need to think about that as well. And you have to think about what's going on today in this country because we may have a second Memorial Day someday. God forbid. I hope that day never comes. But think about what you enjoy. Do you like to get up in the morning and make decisions for yourself? Get in your car, on your bike, go to the beach, go camping, go to the job of your choice? Think about that. Now, we need to work. We got to have work. We need work to make the money to do the things that we want to do, own the things that we want, like that guitar behind me and this computer, the cars, all of that. But think about that's freedom. You have the choice. You can go to work today, you don't have to. There's some countries where you go to school and they tell you, guess what? You're going to make bolts. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be a bolt maker, a nut and bolt maker. And that's what you're going to do, whether you like it or not. You're going to make widgets. That's your job. You're going to be a master widget maker. You may not have chose to do that. Maybe you wanted to be a doctor, an actor. But there are people that don't enjoy those freedoms. So think about the freedoms that we have and think about the folks prior to us that put everything on the line, everything, in order for them and us. I truly believe that Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and the alike were thinking of us when they did what they did. Certainly were thinking of themselves, their contemporaries at the time. But I do believe that they were thinking of us, people of the future. That's why they wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights. Has anybody ever read those? I think you should. So when you celebrate this Memorial Day and you're going to the beach or you're cooking on your grill, having people over and having a couple cocktails and whatnot, don't forget why we celebrate this weekend. It's all of those things, and mostly the people that have given the ultimate sacrifice to protect us, protect our freedoms and our liberties. So that's my rant. That's my soapbox for this morning. Don't want to bring everybody down first thing for the day, but please remember that when we in the fire service, every year we have a Memorial Day parade, and we get all the trucks together and we line them up and shine them up and make them look spiffy, and the police cars, and we have usually we'll have pipers and drum corps, and we don't sound the sirens, we don't ring the bells. The only thing that you hear is the whir of the engines and the pipers piping. And they're not piping the happiest of music. And we make our way down to the cemetery in town. And we line up there and we get out and we honor those. Those that are in the cemetery, the veterans that gave the ultimate sacrifice, those that chose to join the armed services and put their lives and their safety on the line. That's what this is about. Honoring those folks, the ones that had the true grit to be able to join the military and do that. or they answered the call. What would you do if there was a foreign invader banging on our door? Fear's a real thing. Would you cower down? Would you stand up and fight? What would you do? We've all seen the movies of World War I, World War II. Young men were lying about their age so that they could sign up and answer the call. Some of them got caught and were turned away, and some of them made it through. Some of them went overseas and fought the foreign invader, and they never came home. And that's what today or this weekend is all about. So when we're celebrating, let's not forget why we're doing it, okay? When the 4th of July comes, that'll be the time. Fireworks, the loud noises, the sirens, and the ringing of the bells and the fanfare and whatnot. But if you can do me a favor for this weekend, remember those that came before us, those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. And if you live in the United States, fly that flag. Fly as many as you have. And if you don't have one, they sell them at Walmart. Go buy a flag. I'm with you, Sharon, and I'm with you, Scott. I would definitely stand up. You regulars know that when you come into my streams every day, because at the end of every stream, I end it that way. I think my message is pretty clear. So that's enough of that. So let's move on. Good morning, everybody. For those of you that just came in, yeah, the picture's terrible. We're gonna have to talk to the internet repair guy on Saturday. They're coming between 4 and 6 p.m. Saturday evening. Hopefully, we can get this straightened out. Like I said last night, if we can't, then we're gonna cut the cord and find a new way to do it. Because paying almost $100 a month for a crappy stream. I mean, I can get the internet on my phone through my telephone service, but paying for what I pay for is so I can do this kind of stuff. It's a little frustrating, but all right. Joke of the day. Jen's got our joke of the day. Here it is. What do you call a sad cup of coffee? Depresso. I like it. My mother said, graduated in 1956, could not graduate in that time if you did not study U.S. history. Right, Mom? I had to study it too. We studied world history, and I studied U.S. history. Now, as a young boy, I was different from some of the kids my age that, for whatever reason, even today, I'm drawn to U.S. history, especially the time of the Revolution and the colonial times. I truly believe I've been reincarnated. I have dreams that I lived back then. Don't know if that's true or not, but I dream that I was a citizen during that time. It's funny because cooking and living that way, the way that they did, I know how to do that. I'm not sure how I know how to do that. Taught myself, I guess. But if the power went off and we had no means to turn on the blender or watch the TV or turn the electric range on, I truly believe I could survive, because for whatever reason, I think I may have been reborn or someone that would live during that time. I don't know. But if you haven't learned history, I think you should. And if you have children and they're not teaching that in school, it's up to us to make sure that we teach them, especially about the war for independence and the people that lived during that time and what was happening. It was the British that were the oppressors, right? But the, the title British is just a label. It could be anyone. Could be any country. We had to learn all of that in school, and I don't think they're teaching the kids that today. It's a shame. I believe it's on purpose. Have you heard about the dumbing down of America? I truly believe it's a real thing. I really do. It's up to the parents. If they're not teaching it in school, then you need to teach it at home. If I had school age children today, you know what I would do? I would do whatever it would take so that one of us could stay home and homeschool our kids. I would not put them in public school. Nope, it wouldn't happen. Good morning, Paul. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Scott says reenacting the Revolutionary War was the best experience I had growing up. I had a lot of fun doing it, right? And they're living here in New England, Scott. You and I both have an advantage because this is basically the birthplace of our country. And there's a lot of history here, and there's a lot of reenactors that do this every year. Here in New Hampshire, we have several places. I had the I had the um, I'm not sure the word I'm looking for. It's early, but I had the pleasure of growing up in a town where one of the Revolutionary War heroes was born there and lived there. General John Stark. If you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He was born in the town I grew up in. And this whole area where I live was full of colonists who were Revolutionary War veterans. A lot of them right from the town that I live in. They mustered on a hill here called Beacon Hill. They mustered on that. So that means that they got together and they met on that hill and they trained there. And then they marched from here to Boston, which is 40, 50 miles, to fight at Breed's Hill, better known as Bunker Hill. People from my little town here in southern New Hampshire mustered on a hill in town to go fight an oppressor because they felt strongly about what they were fighting for. It's a good thing. A damn good thing. I get that from my mother. I truly believe that. Shirley says she had 4 big books on Newfoundland history, and that's good. You need to learn the history of your country. It's important. The history of not only your country, but your area. I love the history of our little towns here. You know, the little town that I grew up in, like I said, not only were there Revolutionary War soldiers and heroes, General John Stark is one of them, like I said. You may have heard of Molly Stark, right? Molly Stark was his wife, and she was famous in her own right during that time. But Robert Frost, the poet, the famous poet, he was born and lived and worked in the town that I came from. Alan B. Shepard, do you know who he is? Alan B. Shepard Jr. He was the first American to go to space, and he was born and lived in the town and went to the high school that I went to. Pretty cool as a kid who likes history, especially American history, growing up in a town like that, because there's a lot of people that just grow up in a town and there's really nothing that remarkable about that town. But so pretty cool. Pretty cool. They were lost over the years. My mother moved a lot. Oh, you lost the history books. Stillinya is here. Good morning, sir. Good to see you. And I love your message. Everyone, please enjoy your day. Don't let nothing or no one steal your joy. Right? Goes along with PMA. We can still have PMA and be positive and talk about these things. These are things I've been wanting to talk about for years of doing these streams. And never really did it because I didn't want to offend anyone. But these are truths that we speak. My grandfather was the captain of a ship. Been worldwide. He is famous. How cool is that? That's another thing is our sailors. My father was a sailor. Take some big cojones, as they say, to get on a floating tin can, sail around. Just the storms and the natural stuff, the dangers that are out there alone. Let's see. I just showed that. There's nothing wrong with that. Thank you, Sharon. I'm glad you agree. I'm glad you agree. I had a man in my family make swords for the Civil War and have one of them with his name and date. That is awesome, Scott. That is so cool. Show people, teach them about this stuff. Captain George Anstey. That's awesome. Right, Paul? Wasn't but 3% of the colonists supported the revolution. That's what I said. When I was talking about the guys that drafted the Declaration of Independence and the ones that signed it, not everybody was in favor of that. They would just go about their day, watching the mainstream media of their time, believing what they were being told. These crazy rebels, they're trying to take over your way of life. They're trying to ruin a good thing. It wasn't a good thing. Not a good thing at all. And the 3% knew. They knew about it. And they wanted to make a change. There's a saying, and I'm not going to get it right, but sometimes the tree of liberty must shed the blood of tyrants in order to keep our freedom. I believe Thomas Jefferson said something like that. Sharon says, I've got several Robert Frost poems. Yeah, Robert Frost was born and lived for a short time, taught at the high school that I went to, and then became a famous poet. He moved away from town, but he's from the town of Derry, New Hampshire, the little town that I grew up in, the little town that I drive through every day to go to work and come home. It is dangerous being out to sea, especially since the earth is flat. Some people believe that, though. Some people do believe it. Some people believe in a lot of things. It's okay to believe in what you think. I'm not saying you, Stillinya, but people. Paul says, Harry Thomason, that did Designing Women, and Wood Newton wrote Riding with Private Malone from your hometown, right? See? That's the history of the South. This country is full of great history. That's why it really ticks me off when, I don't know what to call these people without saying bad words, but They tear down statues of people like Robert E. Lee and George Washington, and they say they're doing it for one reason, but I truly believe they're just trying to erase history. The dumbing down of America. What do they say about your history? If you don't if you don't teach it and remember it, and I know I'm not getting these quotes correct, so don't beat me up in the chat, but you're bound to repeat this stuff if you don't teach it and remember it. George Washington was a slave owner. We're going to pull his statue down. Okay, he was a slave owner. I'm not saying it's right, but it was what they did during that time. It was an accepted practice. There were also black slave owners during that time. Did you know that? They don't teach you that in school. Think I'm kidding? Look it up. It was an accepted practice. Not a good practice, but it was accepted then. There were a lot of slave owners. But if you look at George Washington, the guy was a great man. He deserves to be celebrated. Thomas Jefferson, Robert E. Lee. Talk about a guy standing up for what he believed in and wanted to fight people that were trying to take away his way of life. Robert E. Lee. Don't forget about our history. Stop tearing it down. Stop trying to hide it. Stop trying to pretend it never happened. It did happen. Sometimes history's not good. It's like when I say about everybody has a story. Sometimes the stories aren't good. But you can't change the fact that something has come and gone. Can't hide things. Can't hide the fact that George Washington was a slave owner. Can't hide that. You know, you can't hide the fact that the United States military went to the West and they murdered thousands of indigenous people. Was it a good thing? No. But don't hide it. Don't hide that. Can't hide history. It's important. I'm willing to bet that most of you in the town that you live in, there's some statue of somebody somewhere. In the town I grew up in, there's several of them. There was a statue right up the road from me, and it's of a Civil War soldier, a Yankee soldier. And I used to go there all the time. It was not far from my house, and I would stand there and I would stare at that. And look at that statue and think about that person and the people like him that did what they did. Whether you agree with what they did or not, but they did those things. They went and they fought each other, especially during the Civil War. That'd be like you going down the street and beating up your neighbors or your brother. There were actual family members that fought on either side. Can you imagine that? One day you love your brother, and the next day, because of politics, you're firing bullets at him. Doesn't make it right, or it doesn't mean you have to agree with all of that. But these things happened, and it's not doing anybody any good to be hiding these things. Folks from all around the globe believe the world is flat. There are a lot of people that believe that. It could be flat. I don't know. Let's not get sad. Let's get loud. Absolutely. We need to stand up for the things that we believe in. Do you think that our founding fathers in this country stood up for what they believed in? If they didn't, I may not be here talking to you the way I am. Sharon says, I don't agree with them destroying all those monuments. I'm with you. I don't agree with it. Yeah, Abe Lincoln's another one. Big statue of him in Washington, D.C. I've been there. I've been to the big one of Thomas Jefferson in Washington, D.C. Why do you think they have those statues there? Yes, to celebrate the great things that they did, of course. But they're also reminders of our past. They're not teaching the kids these things. It's up to you as a parent if you have children, nieces or nephews. Teach them about the history of this country, about why we have Memorial Day. Memorial Day is not here so we can have Monday off to go to the beach. That's not why it's here. You certainly have the freedom to have Monday off and go to the beach, but just don't forget why you have the day off. We don't celebrate the unofficial start of summer. That's not what we do. Or they would call it the unofficial start of summer day, right? It's Memorial Day. Um, I'll get that guy's name wrong, but Kosciuszko arrived in America in 1776. Young American Army lacked qualified officers, so the Pole was given many important tasks. First of these was the preparation of the fortifications in Philadelphia, which was the main political center for the colonists. The Americans accepted his plan to fortify. Yep, Philadelphia was the capital, wasn't it? And we had a lot of foreigners come here and help us during that time. French as well. The French as well. There was a guy named Lafayette that came here, and he actually worked with George Washington and trained the troops. Here's another little known fact in the town that I grew up in. Lafayette during that time came and spent a lot of time in the town that I grew up in, and he stayed there during his time here. A little known fact, but look up Lafayette as well. A Frenchman that came here to help us fight the British. What would have happened if they lost? Would things just go back to the way that they were? They surely would have executed those folks that signed the Declaration of Independence if they could find them, and their families. I don't think they would have just said, oh, okay, good try. You guys go back to doing what you were doing. I don't think that would have happened. You cannot hide history. It's important that we continue to teach history. Billingsport, for which Congress nominated Kosciuszko, I hope I'm saying that right, as Colonel Engineer, October 1776, and allocated a salary of $60. That must have been a lot of money back then. I have a theory behind that. They're trying to erase history. They're trying to push a narrative that doesn't exist. They're trying to push a narrative that doesn't exist. Think about it. They're trying to create a race war in this country too. Have you figured that out yet? I don't usually get into politics. Stop watching CNN. Get your news from really good outlets. They're on the internet. They're not on your cable company. Stop believing the narrative that's being shoved down your throat. That's all I can say. Correct, Danielos. 100% correct. Stop watching cable news. Even your local news. You realize those are businesses, right? They're not there so that they can inform us all. They're there so that they can push narratives and push commercials and make money, billions of dollars. They're there to push narratives. Have you ever seen the movie Citizen Kane? It's an old movie, black and white, Orson Welles. Look up Citizen Kane and see what it's about. It's about pushing narratives, trying to get people to believe things that may or may not be true. Bingo. And that's only part of it. Bingo. It's only part of it. There would be no memories, and memories are a wonderful thing. Sometimes you have to watch something. There is something to watch. There's stuff out there. You have to sift through it with an open mind. There's a lot of information being shoved down our throats out there, including what you're watching right now. Now, I'm not trying to shove anything down your throat. I'm just expressing feelings. That's all. You don't have to believe what I'm telling you. You don't. You don't have to agree with me. That's the great thing about freedom. We can agree to disagree about stuff. But what I'm talking about are things that I truly believe in. You know, in war, to the victor go the spoils, but also to the victor, they write the history. Don't forget that. Everything that we've been told is not necessarily what really has happened in life. So sift through it. The internet can be a good thing. It's also can be a nasty thing. And you really have to sift through it with a filter and filter out a lot of it. There was a time when I believed everything that I saw on, I'll say it, mainstream media. And somehow there was a switch flipped in my head. Certain things just don't make sense. Your gut's important. Your gut can tell you things. Most times your gut's right. 100% true, Paul. They're all owned by, so most of the media companies out there are owned by six very rich individuals. That's how it used to be. Things may have changed in the year or two, and they all have the same political views. And they're all trying to push the same narrative. Have you seen the scripted news, the video of the TV anchors? And then they put the squares up of all the little videos of all the TV anchors on the news. And they're from all over the country, local TV news anchors, national news anchors. And there's hundreds of them that they put up on the screen. And they're all saying the same exact thing. That's not independent news. Somebody has written a script and they're all reading what they've been told to read. Whether it's the truth or not, it's scripted. Have you seen that? Let me know if you've seen that. Let me know in the chat if you've all seen that. It may even be on YouTube. I actually had a guy call me a liar for saying Reagan was once governor of California. He said it couldn't be true because Rush said Reagan wasn't a politician before becoming president. No, you're right, Paul. He was a governor. Before that, he was an actor. And then he was governor of California. And then he was the president, a 2-term president. He also took a bullet. Remember that? Music, okay, but sometimes all these TV stations talk about important matters that concern everyone. It's important to watch what really concerns us, pick out something valuable for ourselves from the trash. That's why I said sift through it. The local news, when they're talking about what's happening in your town, I believe that's correct. But when they push the narrative, it's not correct. See if I can find it. And I'm going to show you. We got 10 minutes. We got plenty of it. No, that's not it. Maybe this is it. All right. See if I can share this with you. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not. Let's see. All right. I think this is the one.
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Did you see that? Did you hear that? And that's just one example. All of those news outlets from around our country all saying the same thing. How is that independent? Because they're owned by 6 companies that are pushing the same narrative, and they're saying, here's your script for the day. You're going to say this. Don't report what's real. Report this. Here's your script for the day. Report this. They all said the same thing. Exactly, Scott. That's my point. There's more examples of that out there. Not that I want to push another video outlet, but do you belong to Rumble? I do. You'll see things that YouTube won't allow you to see if you go to Rumble. That's true. He did take a bullet. Pretty strong old duffer, huh? Kind of reminds me of Teddy Roosevelt. I think it was Teddy Roosevelt. I think he was running for president second time, maybe. He was giving a speech. And he was up in front of the crowd giving his speech. And somebody shot him. And I think he had the speech in his coat pocket, I believe, and I may not have the story exactly right. But the bullet went through the speech, through his suit, through his speech, and into his chest. And he stood there for 2.5 hours and finished his speech with a bullet in him. Did they teach you that in school? Talk about a tough guy. Teddy Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. That's tough. Ronald Reagan, tough old guy, man. He took a bullet. Took a bullet in the chest and survived at his age. And then went on to be president for a second term. Those are the guys I revere, man. We certainly went down a path today, didn't we? I don't normally do this kind of thing. But you can tell I'm very passionate about our history and about protecting our history and our freedoms. The reason why we celebrate Memorial Day. Wait till the 4th of July comes and I do my 4th of July show. I may have lost some of you today. And for that, I apologize. Usually you guys want to come in here and let's talk about fun things and laugh and all that. But sometimes I'm a serious guy. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. That means a lot. It means you care. You do care about the things that I'm talking about. I'm not sure if they caught the one that shot Teddy Roosevelt. They certainly did the guy that shot Ronald Reagan. but I'm not sure about that. But I hope you guys have at least gotten something out of today's show. Um, so let's go to business. Don't forget to like, share us out, subscribe, send us a super chat if you'd like. If you want 100% of the proceeds to go right to us so we can pass it on to places like Helping Hands for Cruising, go over to our PayPal and paypal.me/The Astute Tourist. 100% of your support will go right to our channel, and then we will distribute it accordingly. But I really appreciate you guys. I'm glad you didn't mind listening to my rant. And Sharon talking about Paul Harvey. I listened to him every day when he was alive. And to coin his phrase, and now you know the rest of the story. He was great. He was really great. So with that said, and my friends are reminding me, don't forget PMA. Thank you, Danielos. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. I really do. I'm glad you've enjoyed the show today. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for that. And you're reminding me that don't forget PMA, Positive Mental Attitude. PMA will save your day. It will. Believe me, there's a positive message in my message today. The positive part of it is don't forget our history and remember those that came before us. It's not about fireworks and going to the beach this weekend. It's about remembering those that have come before us that gave up the ultimate sacrifice. Memorializing those folks. People braver than me. Those are the real heroes of this country, so we need to make sure that we celebrate them. Positive mental attitude, definitely save your day. It'll change your life. It can save your life like it did mine. Believe me when I tell you, I'm living proof that it works. It really does work. Don't forget to keep our men and women of the armed forces. They're out there. Those are the real heroes. Those are today's heroes. They're on the wall every day protecting us, silently protecting us, keeping harm away from us to protect our liberties and our freedoms. Also on the home front, the men and ladies of our first responders groups, fire, police, nurses, doctors, EMS. Those are the real heroes. Unsung heroes. They do the thing silently, day in, day out, 24/7. And they really don't ask for much in return. So think about them every day. Say a prayer for them. And then, of course, that thing right there. My love from my flag. Flag means more than the piece of cloth that it's printed on. There's a whole story with that and a whole meaning. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for indulging me and allowing me to rant. It really does mean a lot. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back at 6 a.m. for Friday morning walkabout. We're going to take a walk with the puppies. Colleen should be with me as well. Hope you guys have a good day. If I don't see you, I hope you have a great Memorial Day. Enjoy time with your family and your friends. And let's not forget the message, okay? I really appreciate and love you guys. I want to wish you all peace and love from deep down in my heart. My name is Jimmy. I'm your astute tourist. Now you know the rest of the story. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.